I consider you a New York City sports icon. The Yes Network host, serial entrepreneur, I'm a New York Times bestseller, founder of Steiner Sports, now Collectible Exchange and Athlete Direct. Did I leave anything out in there? I'm sure I did.
The main thing is I'm not with Steiner anymore, which is always hard to absorb. And I'm with a new company that I started a year and a half ago called Collectible Exchange or Athlete Direct.
So talk about that. Talk about that transition from a company that you started 32 years you own that company. And how did you press restart? What was your mindset like?
To be honest with you, my mindset is the same as it's been for the last 50 years, literally. I started work when I was 10, and that's, how do I get better? How do I fix the industry that I'm in? I think as a leader, there's only two things that really matter. How do you take what's broken and fix it? How do you take what you're in the middle of and how you make it better? And I felt like, I did a lot at Steiner. I accomplished a lot, but it really didn't resolve a lot of the problems that the industry, a lot of sports promotion, collectibles, marketing of players. I don't think there's still a lot of problems that exist. And there's a lot of stuff that I still could do. I didn't have to really press a restart button. I just have to keep going. And, you want to have the stamina, the mental stamina to enjoy and love what you're doing and want to do better, want to be better. And I think if I didn't have the interest in being better and doing more, then that's when, you got to hang it up. But the hard thing is leaving what you have, not necessarily doing the next thing. I think people have it wrong. They have it usually the other way around. But the hard part is leaving what you had because it's easy, it's convenient, gets kind of cozy. It's tough to get out of bed when that bed's all nice and warm and cozy, but you all know that, getting out of bed is the first step in success. Really just get out of bed and get ready to go and not lay there because when you lay in there, you're just postponing or giving an opportunity for someone else to take your hopes and dreams for them to make it happen. So, you got to have a certain amount of urgency. For me, I just have a high level of empathy, just a lot of compassion about understanding what's going on out in the world and trying to figure out how I can make it a little better and how I can find a fix. I think the definition of empathy is understanding what it's like in another person's shoes. And the more you do that, the more you realize where the holes are and what other people are looking for, what other people need. And then if you can provide that product or service, you're on the right track for entrepreneurism.
When you say that it was a little bit hard to let go of that first business, I mean, that was your baby. What are those things that you've changed internally? Like, how did you become a different leader, more empathetic leader? Where you kind of, hey, I jumped off the hamster wheel. Now I'm going to do it different this time. Well, what was that like, that transition like for you?
It's a great question. I think it's probably the most important thing, which is like, why go redo what you already did, make the same mistakes and even copy the same successes? That's not growing. And I think that for me, I learned that, first of all, I'm a relentless character. There's no question. I mean, sometimes I look back at some of the things I did and I was like, I don't even know where I got the balls, energy, and just relentless pursuit. And I'm going back to my first book, which I wrote in 2004, which is the Business Playbook. And I'm going back to the really simple basics. And I'm really making sure I check those boxes to do things, really smartly. I think the most important thing I've learned is people, really understanding people, remembering to understand people, that not everybody is going to be the next superstar, but also most important, how valuable people are, how valuable your staff is, and how hard it is to find those right people and to find the right staff. And when you do, you got to do everything you can to get it right for them, because they are getting further and further few between, to find really hardworking, committed people. And it's not that that all employees are bad or this or that. It's really just harder and harder to find the diamonds in the rough that will go the extra mile, that really will go all in. A lot of people want a lot of things, but they don't want to do the things it takes to acquire a lot of things. So you got to find some people that want to do what you're doing more than they want to do it itself. Like I always say, you got to be a doctor. You got to want to help people get better more than being a doctor. You got to want to teach kids more than being a teacher. And it's hard to find people that have that kind of loyalty, commitment, passion towards what they're doing. I've learned to be a little more patient also. And, for part of it is, you get so caught up in growth. I think especially when you get to a certain size, the thing that really was a struggle for me was this constant struggle for growth as opposed to the struggle for quality. I think as a leader, there's only two things that really matter. How do you take what's broken and fix it? How do you take what you're in the middle of and how you make it better? And I felt like, I did a lot at Steiner. I accomplished a lot, but it really didn't resolve a lot of the problems that the industry, a lot of sports promotion, collectibles, marketing of players. I don't think there's still a lot of problems that exist. And there's a lot of stuff that I still could do. And trying to work with people that were deserving of my efforts and vice versa. Like I just worked with too many people that I should have fired. Internally, athletes, just people that just were not grateful, not appreciative of. It was just too many fake, shallow relationships. And that's a great way to really just head to mediocrity.
When you're now looking to put together your team, and you said that the mistakes that you made early on, you probably should have fired some people when you kept around. There's probably some people that you wish stayed around, and you probably should have done things differently. What do you find now when you're looking for people? Because you've seen this movie and how it ends, do you see yourself picking and choosing different types of people now than you would have ever picked before?
There's no question. And because I'm being so picky, it's harder to grow faster. We're in a really weird place right now. And I don't mean to be the double downer. I don't know how we got to this point, but we have a high level of depression, people that are pessimistic or just don't care. I don't mind the pessimistic because, you can't hate something or love something you don't care about. It's when you're indifferent. We have a tremendous level of indifference going on right now in the marketplace, a distrust. People just don't see the silver lining here. They don't see the next best thing for themselves, or they're not buying into it. And it's very concerning. People that play the work-life balance and sit home on their couch and do nothing all day. I don't even know what work-life balance is, but, work-life balance is, finding stuff you're happy doing and challenging yourself, and then challenging yourself with your family and getting out and, making a better life for you and your family, making your company better. That I think will bring you joy. That will bring you happiness. I feel like in my last company that I probably allowed that too much. Allow people just to show up and act like they were doing me a favor by coming to work, and I don't want that.
Yeah.
I don't care how small, big a job it is. Everybody here is important, and everybody needs to come here with a certain amount of urgency and energy and excitement. If not, they can go get a job at the post office. They need help. I don't. This is an unbelievable opportunity that I feel like I had in my last company. And maybe sometimes we took it for granted, all the things we had. And I don't want to do that again. I'm very grateful that a lot of athletes have come on board with us in this new company. There's a lot of customers that have been loyal. I never want to take any one of those people for granted.
Entrepreneur. I don't think anybody that just starts a business should be an entrepreneur. To me, you're a serial entrepreneur. You have made a living for yourself, your family, and provided for hundreds of people that worked for you through the years. That's an entrepreneur. What do you say for anybody that's going? What are those 3 tips? Anybody that's getting into the industry.
I'm here to tell all those young 22-year-old, or I call them 20-nothing-year-olds, but I'm here to tell them all that they can be the next big thing. I believe it. I'm here to support that. And with some patience and some experience, more than likely, there's a good chance a lot of them could be. And what I'm here to say to those 35-year-olds is like, wow, what a blessing that you got to start over. Because if you're starting over, it means you didn't plan anyway. A lot of people got stuck. They kind of got stuck and they were kind of stuck in the mud. And this whole virus and everything kind of shook things up. But what a blessing. You get to start over and really get a fresh start. Take advantage of that fresh start. And if you want to start something brand new, God bless you. Here's the 3 tips. 1, understand the market. Really understand, again, high level of empathy. Understand what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. I'm assuming that you have some product and service knowledge about what you're trying to get into, but you don't have the full knowledge until you understand how that service and product is being provided to the common person, how they need to receive it, and how they're thinking about it. 2, understand the leadership that's needed, relentless pursuit, the attitude, the mental stamina that it takes to take a product that no one else is thinking about, or the extension of a product, or the remake of a product, or something completely new. Understand the leadership skills that requires, and the fortitude and the ability to get really focused in on something and believe in something. And then understand the risk that you may have a shitty idea. You may have an idea that may not work. and understand that there is a distinct chance that your idea will fail. It doesn't mean that you'll fail, because I lead the league in failing. I mean, I have a whole bunch of stuff that, man, I talk to anybody who's done a lot of entrepreneurism in their life, they're going to tell you that they've had a lot of failures. So I think, you understand that there's a distinct possibility you'll fail, but more than likely the experience will lead you to something bigger, better, something a little different. And just because you were off track doesn't mean that, the stuff that you learned and the stuff that you're able to pick up along the way is going to help you with your next venture. I think when you understand those three things in entrepreneurism, and again, what am I fixing? What am I taking? What am I making it better? I always say, what else? What's next? Is kind of my favorite thing. You got to have balls book. I think those are the key. That's the key to really driving entrepreneurism. Have a high level of empathy and compassion. Understand what it's like to be in someone else's shoes. Deal with the risk factor. Lead. Understand what leadership is. And it's not always being the most popular person in the room, but it's just getting behind what you really feel is right. And then understand the market, really digging in, understanding every aspect in the market that you're trying to get into, which again involves high level of empathy.
So talk about your project that you're working on right now and how have you pivoted?
I think with collectible exchange, what I'm seeing more and more now is that people are really struggling of what to do with their collectibles. We've gotten a lot of collectibles in the market. I like to think I had something to do with it. I've probably put out more than 35 million collectibles into the market, and I've secured well over 25 million autographs. So we know there's a lot of stuff out there, and I know I wasn't the only game in town. Now there are a lot of people that are sitting with huge collections, and they don't know what to do with it. There's a problem, and it's difficult to sort through a collection other than the really high value stuff. So collectible exchange helps people evaluate, authenticate, and more importantly, help them liquidate their collections, depending on how far they want to go. They want to auction it, they want to sell it. But right now we have over 100,000 items and growing on the site. It's going to be a collect director for entertainers, actors, athletes to sell their stuff directly to consumers. So we already have about 60 micro sites, and you can go on the site and buy directly from the players. And we're going to have a lot of fun with that site where you'll be getting emails and calls from players that are going to be fulfilling their products, especially with this new NIL stuff with college. We have a lot of college players selling their own stuff. So there's a tremendous opportunity for fans to get closer to the game, have more fun with their talent, with their entertainers, get stuff directly from them, game used. We're creating a lot of cool licensed products, and we're having a lot of fun. I mean, I think it's really important for the talent to really engage with their fan base. This gives them what we call a pad, a platform, an audience, and distribution. We offer that to every entertainer and athlete, and it's really what they need. So we do help them facilitate selling their stuff, creating their stuff. It's not like we just give them the platform, but we also give them the audience, and we also give them distribution. And most importantly, take action over anxiety. Take action, get up and do something, and don't be so hard on yourself, because most people will spend hours being hard on themselves and minutes, complimenting and being, celebrating the good stuff. You'll spend 5 hours talking about all the girlfriends and boyfriends that broke up and dumped your ass, and you'll talk about 15 minutes of the relationship where you had great love and a great camaraderie with a spouse. So, try to even things out in your mind. It's all a mindset, and I think it's so important to even things out. We successes and failures shouldn't one overdwell the other, but we tend to overfocus on our failures. We tend to spend a lot more time thinking about the negative than the positive, and it's really important to balance that out.
So your last book, Living on Purpose, talk about that. Talk about where your mindset was, because it seems like the shift in your, mental health, self-awareness, all those things that you talk about in there, and how the balance between your health, your wellness, your spiritual health, your financial health, they're all connected. What was the core of that book for you?
Core of my book was, I woke up one day and I was like, man, I got a lot of money. I'm really successful in business, but I suck at life. And, it's a hard thing to admit. Not that I don't think I was a bad friend. I just don't think I was a great friend to have. I don't think I was a great husband. I was an okay husband. Like, I didn't want to go down. I was like, well, this guy made a lot of money. He was successful, but, he was just a pretty good dad. I mean, I don't know if my kids would dog me at my funeral, but in their mindset, I wanted to be a much higher level quality person. So I went around. I started a pod way before everybody was doing pods. And I came up, since I had such a good sports angle, I went to all these high quality, high level people that were writing and talking and preaching about all these different parts of life that, you know, you spend your whole life going to business conferences, business lectures, reading business books. And you wonder why you pick you up at 50, you're great at business, you suck at everything else, but you spend like 5 minutes on being a better husband, being a better dad, being a better brother. So I went to all these different people, from a John Gray, Men Are From Mars, Women From Venus, learned sleep doctor, nutritionist, all kinds of different people that were completely outside of my normal expertise and success. And I started putting them on my pods, inviting them to stay at my house for a couple of days, take them to a Yankee game. And I just got incredible insight about, you know, really a fast pace of how to get the rest of my life up to par. Because most people just don't think about that till it's too late. And I'm glad, I always say the book is probably my best work, Living on Purpose. It's something that I wish everybody in their 40s, particularly early 50s, would read, because you set your whole life up focused on what you're trying to do to be successful, but you're not thinking about what you want to do after you reach some success. And that is an incredibly high motivational factor. To answer your first question is, you know, how do you hit the reset button? It's plan for what you want to do after you hit your goals, which is immediately reset them. But if you've got some ideas about what that reset looks like, it's not a big deal. It's not that hard. All I was trying to do was, you know, what's the purpose of making all this money? What's the purpose of working so hard? And, you know, what do I want the end game to look like? And can I be around, walking around without being in a wheelchair, you know, while I'm doing it? And why do I have to wait till I'm 70, 80 to give more up and be more kind and give to more charities? Like, even if, why can't I get more involved doing that now? So I think the Living on Purpose gives you a lot of insight. I don't tell you what to do, but I show you what I did. I show you how I kind of felt like I was able to kind of get a much wider approach to life, and how I got that insight to do it. Because it's not easy. You think about how hard it is to, you know, you go to school, then you go to grad school, then you go to training program, how hard it is to get to a level of business success. I don't know why people would think it would be any less easy to get into life success. You gotta put some energy and effort into that. Better start sooner than later. And that's what I think the book really, you know, talks about. It's like, you know, stop waiting to be successful, but plan that you're going to be. If you're not going to be successful, then who is? Why would you ever doubt it?
I can tell you, I was stuck. I was stuck a little bit. I felt okay where I was with my career. I felt like, hey, I reached it, but I wasn't happy with myself. You know, I knew I got way out of shape. There was a lot of things that I didn't like about myself. So within the last year, completely sold everything and press restart. It wasn't for my business or my career. It was for me personally. We moved down to Florida, and I loosened my load of my stress from overhead, just everything. And I balanced my life again. I ended up losing 100 pounds. Wasn't anything that I did set a goal for it, to be honest, but it was more about my nutrition, my everyday. What am I doing every day? And when I had those moments of anxiety or lack of purpose, or man, is this next phase as 40 some or 50 something year old, you know, that back nine is right there. I'm on it. And am I going to make a big enough impact? Because I learned that no one cares what you did 20 years ago. Like for you, every day, no one cares. No one cares what I did. But what they care about is now. So what's that advice that maybe someone gave to you in your life a long time ago, or maybe recently, for your parents or a mentor? What was that advice that made a major impact in your life that you really live by from that moral internal compass?
I mean, there's so much. I mean, especially between my mom and Alzie Jackson, who was like a mentor and a dad to me. I mean, I just think that, you know, you can't not worry about building your brand. I think you can't not worry about, you know, what you think you deserve, not to get caught up in disappointment, but, you know, you got to take your appreciation to the highest level you can. And I think that, you know, waiting for something to happen is just not a good direction. You know, making something happen and pushing to have something happen is a much better force. And I think that, you know, I remember somebody coming in, one of my mom's friends, said, you know, you're waiting for this to happen. Like, you're a guy, you got to make things happen. There are only a few people on the planet where they just sit there and good things happen every now and then. But generally, most of us, we got to wake up in the morning, you got to make something happen. And I think that that's kind of been my mantra, you know. It's like, I don't wait for it to happen. I don't expect anything just to fall on my lap. And then my mother's favorite advice was, you know, if you use your head, you don't have to use your feet. You got to decide if you want to work from the neck up or the neck down. There's nothing wrong with either one of them, but, you know, working from the neck up could be a little bit easier over the course of time. So it's a blessing if you can figure out how to work from the neck up. And I think that was good advice.
Well, thank God I wore a helmet all those years. Brandon Steiner, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it. And it's always great seeing you.
Well, thanks for having me. Appreciate it. Love your pod. Love your idea. Keep going. And there's hope and there is a future for all of us. No reason to stop now. Not you, then who?